Hi. It's part of a series of short videos from the Economy for the Common Good, which is a global movement working towards system change, providing practical alternatives for the huge social and economical challenges that humanity has been facing, even before the outbreak of COVID-19. This lesson is about the economic and social crisis and how countries are trying to cope with it. It's almost certain that this corona crisis will hit the economy and people harder than the global financial crisis of 2008, 2009 and the following years. The IMF forecasts a 3% drop in the global economy. The EU Commission fears a 10% reduction for the Union. The darkest prognostic for the USA comes from JP Morgan of a 25% reduction. If the latter does become reality, the $2 trillion US rescue programme will not be sufficient, as this is less than 10% of the US GDP. It's a similar story in Austria. The Austrian government first put together a tiny package of 4 billion euros, which was increased in a matter of days to 38 billion euros. However, this is still significantly less than 10% of Austria's GDP. It is worth noting that only 15 billion euros of this are real substantial aid. The majority of it is loans and guarantees. The European Central Bank has announced a programme worth 750 billion euros, 6% of the economic output of the European Eurozone. This can only complement the efforts of the member states. The 500 billion package of the European Union, adopted on April the 9th, is only 3.5% of the EU's GDP. If the crisis hits hard, all of these programmes put together will still fall short of preventing a painful recession. The critical question we need to ask is who should receive the help. In 2008, it was the big banks that received the help, as they were deemed too big to fail, and also climate-unfriendly business sectors, such as car manufacturers, that received the help. This time, we need to do it differently. We need to help the smaller and more sustainable businesses, and above all, help the individual people. And we can do this by introducing a basic universal income of €1,000 per person per month. As well as this, we can pay an elevated minimum salary to the system critical jobs of €2,000 a month, like in healthcare, education, refuse collection, as well as for companies and employees of companies with an excellent common good balance sheet, B certification or similar. In contrast to the last crisis, no taxpayer money should be used to bail out big corporations. However, the European Central Bank's announcement to buy government bonds as well as corporate bonds means that it did not learn the lesson from the last crisis. Instead, we think wealthy owners of stock market companies should inject more capital in the companies they own if needed, and central banks should use their monetary resources to support the universal basic income for the people. The learning point here is that we should neither repeat the rescue policies of the past and the last crisis, nor be getting back to business as usual, to an outdated and unsustainable economic model. Instead, we should focus on the rescue programmes for real people and for those companies that support a more healthy and sustainable post-corona economy, an economy for the common good. Thank you.